Welcome to Storybreakers, the show where we come up with a brand new film idea off the top of our heads. And if you like it, it's yours. I'm your host, Chris Brennan, and with me today to break story is my guest, writer, filmmaker, and editor, Mark Esper. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Hello, everybody.
Hey, so we are going to today make something up that doesn't exist. All right, so how we're going to do this is I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and you get to decide one piece of the ingredients that will make this story.
Sweet.
Sounds good?
Yep.
All right.
Bring it.
So, first off, what's our genre?
I think because when we first started talking, we were talking about horror. So why not we go down the horror road?
I love horror.
There you go.
Let's
Easy.
do it. Is this set in the past, the present, or the future?
Who are you pitching this to? I would say let's start in the present. Doesn't mean we need to stay in the present, depending on where we go with the story, but let's start in the present.
Okay. Now,
maximum relatability.
Our protagonist, let's say, is it a group story or is it about one singular person and their journey?
Let's go with a singular one, just to start with.
Okay.
I often find that when I'm writing, you'll start out with a protagonist, and then you're writing, and then you really get deep into writing the backstories and stuff, and you realize that you're far more invested and far more interested in the sub-characters, and you end up swapping people around and going, this hero is boring as hell. Fuck it, let's change this guy around.
Right. No, but it's interesting because a lot of times, sometimes writers are like, I want an ensemble story. So we're going like hero's journey mode. Okay, so our protagonist, what gender are they?
Female.
Okay, what is their profession?
They are, let me have a little think, what would be interesting? They're a tax collector.
A tax collector.
So we're already fighting, we've already got built-in prejudice that people don't like tax collectors.
Our audience is going to be like, F this person.
It's a horror. Bad things are going to happen to bad people.
Uphill. Sweet. So now the next question is, does the plot actually relate to her occupation? Is it around her being a tax collector, or does she just happen to be a tax collector and we have the freedom to make a plot outside of it, but maybe it kind of every once in a while we kind of touch on tax collecting?
I think it would be interesting if she is trapped by her job and her position where she cannot leave her job, but she desperately wants to.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So she is feeling a little suffocated and a little anxiety from the decision she made in her life that led her to be a tax collector.
Probably very bad ones.
Really bad. Tell me more.
Maybe she's tormented through guilt that she pursued somebody and let's say they ended up committing suicide when in fact they were wholly innocent, but it was her determination to be seen good by her bosses that forced the issue and forced the moment.
Oh,
She's
wow.
carrying the guilt.
Oh, wow.
This is kind of what you get from me.
This is great. No, I mean, it's better than me pulling this out of people. You're like jumping ahead. That's amazing. Yeah, let's keep the thread going. Like, this is interesting.
So let's see that she's like, she's walking around with this kind of cloud over her head, lightning and bolts and all this kind of stuff. And I think if she's done something wrong, we need to know whether it was validated or not, and whether this is going to torment her or have a bearing on the story as we move forward.
Yes.
I.e., is she free of her past, or is the past about to come back in some kind of manifestation?
That makes sense. And we already have somebody who has regret with her job choice. And now we're building that upon guilt.
Yep. It's almost Catholic. What can I say?
Okay, so are we kind of like now deciding on the type of subgenre of horror then? Are we already kind of going into like it's not supernatural, it's more kind of like practical and reality based? Dare I say it's giving notions of I know what you did last summer, or like the regret that turns into comeuppance?
I think
Or are we going supernatural with this?
I'm still not quite pinning one horse or the other.
Okay.
But what I'm thinking about is it would be interesting if something or somebody comes into her life and is looking to tax her or her soul.
Oh.
And she doesn't know whether this is supernatural, whether it's somebody trying to mess with her. She doesn't know, but somebody is trying to mess with her life, and she doesn't know whether it's karma, whether it's real, whether it's the person who died or possibly didn't die.
That's really interesting. So we're actually talking about karma being like an entity.
I always like the idea of karma having really big teeth.
Karma with big teeth. I think we're getting close to the title already, by the way. No, but this is very interesting, and it's quite universal.
Mm-hmm.
And there's tons of scope to play with here. So we are saying that we have a what's her name? Let's just give her a name. Madeline. So when Madeline, like a few years ago, somebody died, and did she do it, or was it?
I've got a revision already. Sorry.
Yeah, of course.
Saoirse.
Yeah. Okay.
Not Madeline. Saoirse.
Saoirse. Okay. So are we saying that she murdered somebody or accidentally killed somebody?
I think she wanted something from this person. Probably she was collecting some form of taxation.
Yeah.
Maybe let's say that she was collecting on behalf of a client who was not entirely good.
Okay.
And was looking for a payment to be restituted to them with interest.
Yeah.
And they used Saoirse's ability to mentally torment and browbeat this person.
Sorry, can you repeat that? What does that mean by they used her ability to mentally torment?
In the sense that she's a hard worker, she's very, very dedicated. She was an idealist back in the day, and now this whole episode has tainted her idealism and her commitment to her work.
So somebody treated her like a tool to get their...
She was a gun and somebody else pulled the trigger.
Okay, so she's not exactly guilty as such, but she's tainted because of it.
She's complicit.
So then how come she couldn't just go, and like, we're making this all up, so I don't expect, like, you could turn and go like, I don't have no effing idea. Like, how come she wouldn't be able to go to the police or the authorities and say like, hey, somebody just died? I think that
because the person who approached her is the police.
Oh, wow.
She can't go and get the police to help her because it was the, how can I say it, illegal wing or the bent wing of the police force that were looking for her to shake down a informer, let's say, that owed them money or had kept, let's say, stake money for a drugs deal. Okay. And they want restitution. Yeah. And they used her to do it. And then basically they used her to be the soft edge of the sort of, we call it the steel fist in the velvet glove. So it's like, without becoming overt and obvious, they used her to conduct a campaign of psychological torture on this person. To say, I'm gradually just going to take your life strand by strand, piece by piece, and I'm just going to make your life a living hell. And then obviously the story that we go on from this point forward needs to be almost like a mirror of that, where somebody else is now doing that to her.
I
understand.
Which she
did to somebody else.
It kind of reminds me of these real stories that I've heard. I think John Ronson actually wrote about it, where there was people that would get so deep into debt with credit cards, where like the only way to solve it is to get another credit card and pay off your credit card debt with this new credit card.
So I have the title for the film now.
Okay.
So it's a phrase that, if you haven't already figured out by my accent, I'm from the UK, but there's a phrase in the UK that we talk about moneylenders and being lent money, and we call it the never never.
The never never.
In the sense that you're never going to pay it back.
Oh,
and
wow.
even if you wanted to pay it back, you'll never pay it back.
That's a fantastic title, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, the never never. Yeah, great. So I think we're really circling something strong and very distinct already, which is fantastic. So we are going to follow this person who has this sordid past that wasn't her fault, but she has to live with it, and kind of the guilt and the tension is kind of weighing down on her. And this is going to manifest. We should decide early on whether it is going to be spirit or supernatural or a person, but then we can decide whether or not we play with the audience on back and forth which one it is.
I'm immediately thinking of Robert De Niro in Angel Heart, the Alan Parker film, where he's presented as being flesh and mortal, and then by the end we realize that he's actually supernatural.
Right. What was his name again? It was like
Louis Cypher.
Louis Cypher.
Yeah. Which was a bit on the nose. I mean, it's a shame because it kind of did give the whole thing away, but...
Okay, but now we're actually talking about like there is going to be a person, an individual who basically comes to her with like a proposition or like a dilemma, or how is this like confronting her?
I mean, again, without wishing to steal too heavily, say, from something like Angel Heart, I mean, Angel Heart was very good in the sense that it it was essentially taunting its lead character into remembering the details of how they came to be complicit.
Okay.
There's value in that. It hasn't been done for a while.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking that, how about this? We kind of like start where the first kind of big beat is that she's told that she owes something.
Okay.
To somebody who she doesn't know.
Yeah.
Got nothing to do with her. Completely unwarranted, out of the blue. But there is already an implicit threat attached.
Okay.
Which is, you pay this by this time or we dismantle your life.
And they have the evidence to dismantle her life, which is her previous...
No evidence. It's the threat. Because if you have the threat without the evidence, then it's more distressing because you can rationalize it if you've got, oh, they've got this amount of evidence on me.
Okay.
But when her life starts to get taken apart, that becomes indicative of the scale and the power that they possess over her life.
Okay. But she does have that background though, right?
Yes.
And is it early on she's worrying if that's connected, but then finds out that it's not?
So her first concern is going to be, who's doing this to me? Why are they doing it to me? Do I deserve it? Are there clues in my previous case history that will shine a light on whether or not, whoever this might be and what it might be about?
Right.
Or it could just be, going random out there, where somebody has identified her and just gone, I'm not part of your past, but I just saw that you were vulnerable. I saw you were there for the taking. And so I'm going to take you.
That's interesting.
It's always kind of, I try to get into the psychology and the philosophy of the characters in terms of what they want.
Yeah.
Before I decide how that's going to play out, how it's going to manifest itself. It's like, what's the modus operandi? What does the bad guy want? So like using, I'm going to use James Bond as an example. Simple test. If you go back and you look at any of the, I'm going to say good James Bonds,
sure,
you'll find that the common red line and the common DNA is they had a cracking villain.
Right.
So if you're going to do a horror story, sort your villain out.
It's interesting.
Make them proper scary.
There's a film that I've seen years ago, and I recently interviewed the director, Kieran Foy. The film is Citadel. And early on in it, there is this character who was assaulted on the street, and then he feared going outside. And when he was in therapy, the therapist would tell him, like, look at how you present yourself outside. You're actually presenting as vulnerable. You're showing people that you are open for attack, basically. Like, that's not the dialogue, but like that was kind of the presentation of it. I thought that was like super fascinating because it was like this, the character had to like basically showcase confidence, even if they didn't really feel it at first. It was like, like my expression of vulnerability is the invitation for chaos and issues. And I think like when you mentioned that the person comes to this person and kind of sees something with them that kind of triggered my thought with that moment in this story. So there could be something that her guilt is kind of like around her, even though she thinks she left it behind.
Nah.
It's like a beacon, basically,
And also,
to never, never.
I'm kind of seeing a kind of ticking clock here, in the sense that she has to make amends by a certain point,
Okay.
or oblivion
Okay.
won't be far behind.
And what do you think that would be, like the ticking clock? I guess we don't need to know the answer. We can kind of conjure it up later on.
It kind of comes back to her value sets.
Okay.
You sort of think, what is important to Saoirse? What would hell look like for this lady?
Yeah.
Would it be professional ridicule? Would it be related to her profession? Would it be related to her relationships, to her family, to her faith? What's the big linchpin? What keeps her going? What sustains her? And I would probably, I think if you take away her profession, then her sense of well-being and the family and everything else will come fairly quickly after.
Yeah. Her feeling of self-worth.
Yeah, because I think now I'm starting to think about backstory, and I'm thinking about, well, maybe she came from deprived means. Maybe she's one who fought and clawed her way to the top.
Yeah.
So her ascension to this place of power and privilege is a big deal for her. And then to lose it would be tantamount to losing her identity and losing all the struggle that she made to get out of the gutter to get to that place.
Right. That makes sense. And you could even tie that in with that feeling of letting other people down. Like maybe she had people that relied on her. So it isn't just the like self-focused satisfaction of success. There is this element of like she fought her way up because of this altruistic elements as well. Like maybe it was to help other people. And then when you take that away, now she feels like the stain, the sting, and the vulnerability of letting people down. And that can also connect with the guilt. And then that also connects with the past issue she had that she's basically covered up, in essence.
So how about like this, because it's a horror. Basically, if she doesn't atone for her sins,
Yeah.
a person that she loves is going to die every day.
Oh, I love this. My goodness.
She's got a week.
She has a week.
7 most people important in her life gone. And they're going to make her suffer and make her watch and make her live with the knowledge. And as a little spicy addition, if she tries to warn them, they'll just kill them outright.
Okay. If she warns one, they all die, right?
Correct.
You know, like,
but I would to keep the audience invested, I would say that person. So if she tries to warn the next person, so she's so the presentation is the 7 most important people in her life are about to be removed. Yeah. And the form of removal is death, and it'll be very nasty. And what I'm thinking is, I'm sort of thinking David Fincher 7 at this point, whereupon if she tries to warn the next person, that person will be killed instantly. But they only tell her the identity of the next person once the last person's been killed.
Oh, interesting.
Because then that way she doesn't know who else to pre-warn.
That's
and
true.
This also sets up an interesting dilemma, because then if she knows that the 7 most important people in her life are about to be killed, is it the same 7 that she's thinking of? Because it could be a different 7 people.
It's true.
So how do you warn people when you're not entirely sure that the person who's doing the killing values the people the same way that they think you value them?
And you could have times where she warns the wrong person.
And then it all goes terribly, terribly wrong, in the sense that, hey, they're still alive, but why is so this means somebody else has died. Yeah.
I actually have a counter to, like, you mentioned it, the film 7 and 7 people die. That's really taxing. We can just say it, like, a week is quite arbitrary.
I mean, no.
But there actually is the phrase, you are the sum of the 5 people that you spend time with. And that's this concept where, like, you have to choose your circle wisely, because the 5 people that you surround yourself with will influence you.
Yeah.
and we can do it 5 because of that concept.
Then you also get to 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
But I would just to keep it simple, because
Yeah.
it's always kind of cool to keep horror stuff as simple in terms of a premise.
Yeah.
I think the 7 most important people to her,
Yeah.
because again, there's this duality. I'm a big fan of dualities, in the sense that the people she thinks are the most important, the other person may not. And so it almost becomes educative, where it's like, oh, you thought this person's important, but it turns out they're not.
It's like a horror high fidelity.
Yeah.
Like when he turns around and he was like, "This has nothing to do with me." It's one of my favorite lines in cinema ever. It really taught me a lesson in life, where the amount that I think that something has to do with me, and literally nobody was thinking about me at the time. It has nothing to do with me. She could have these like realizations on her journey to save the 7.
I mean, one of the threats, a potential threat that the Nemesis could be offering, is that when she gets to the end and she thinks that she's going to be killed, it turns out that no, he's not going to kill her. He's just made her complicit in every single one of the deaths that he's performed. And now she is liable and frameable for everything that's happened.
Right. And she's connected to all of them.
Exactly. So she's been following this cookie crumb trail.
Yeah.
But hasn't realized that she's the one that's been putting the cookie crumbs down as she goes.
Like when somebody dies by knife, for instance, she pulls the knife out. Her hands are on the knife.
So she ends up making, just very, very subtly, small details, and whether it's just like taking her, let's say, whiskey tumbler that she drinks out of anxiously halfway through, say, Act 2, and then that tumbler appears at the crime scene, and she didn't miss the fact the person had come into her apartment, taken it, repositioned the evidence into the crime scene.
Yeah.
So there's, and I was thinking, so obviously the thing that we're sort of skirting around is who's the nemesis?
Yeah, exactly.
And I've got the nemesis now.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
The nemesis is a person who believes themselves to be the most important person in her life.
Okay.
But she can't see it. And they're going to educate her.
Okay. Because
they were rejected.
Yeah. And again, we play with that concept that like it has nothing to do with you. You know, like you thought you were more important in their life, but then it turns out they weren't even thinking about you. And this person has this inflated concept. And when it crashes into their head that no, they actually bear no meaning. They're not part of the 7.
Not in her mind.
They thought that they were the prime of the 7. It turns out you're not. You didn't even make the cut.
Well, it could be the case that you didn't make the cut, or you were one of the lower numbers. So it could be the guy that she goes to warn, but he wasn't the one under consideration at that moment, but he is actually the nemesis. So she'll have that double rug pull in the sense of, I had you, but I wasn't. So I was looking at you, but I wasn't looking for you in that context or that role or that position.
Right.
Don't know.
It was very good.
Just to screw people's heads up.
No, but it's great. How would you begin this kind of story then? Like what scenario? We know that she has a backstory. Do we begin with that backstory, or is that something we trickle throughout?
I think, a lot of films, quite rightly, start with the normality of the world, the normality of a person's life, and
the ordinary world.
Indeed. So I think, in a weird way, I would like a scene where we see that she is in a position of power, a position of privilege.
Right.
And let's say that we learn in this scene that she is somebody who is respected but not liked.
Okay.
She goes and does other people's bidding. She collects his taxes. She collects money. She imposes fines. She's a fiscal Rottweiler for other people. And she's really good at what she does, but she hates herself for it now.
Okay.
and then then we kind of, all right, now I know who you are. And then we kind of need to bring in our inciting incident.
Yeah.
Which is some way, somehow, we need to tell her or show her, ideally show, that what she thought was dead and buried isn't.
Okay.
And it carries consequences.
Like the initial, like kind of the most obvious, like the first visual is the letter in the post, you know? I'm not saying we do that, but it's kind of like the immediate kind of like visual iconography of this. Do we do it that kind of pronounced, or can we be a bit more sophisticated with like letting her know, like, hey, we know something about you?
A bit of a steal from Heath Ledger, I apologize. But in my brain, I have this image where she comes into her apartment after she's won her case or got the money or been patted on the back, and she goes home and she's nursing her conscience with whiskey. And she goes into a bathroom and she opens the door and she goes to wash her hands and she looks up into the mirror and she sees a lipstick drawing of her face with an unhappy smile.
Okay.
And underneath it says, "Do you recognize yourself?"
Oh, wow. Wow.
Because I do.
So do you mean that when she looks at the mirror, like the way that the camera, the frame is angled,
so like
that her face is also connected with
so it's almost life size.
Right.
So like we follow
like Truman making the Truman Show, making himself an astronaut.
I know I'm seeing it more. I'm seeing it sort of like, downturned mouth, eyes, egg shape for a head, and then frizzy hair, because I see Saoirse having frizzy hair for some reason.
Okay.
Maybe she's a redhead.
Okay.
And I'm just seeing that we kind of come in with her and she's stumbling and her head's down. So the primary focus of the camera is downward, and we're down with her, and we're down in the basin, and she's washing her face, trying to clean herself, trying to clean herself from the outside in.
Yeah.
And then it's like when she tips her head, and we do a nice Fincher-esque camera tilt with her.
Yeah.
And then she sees herself reflected back in red lipstick, and it's like, see yourself now.
Oh, okay.
Or it could be like, sort of happy, are we?
Yeah. Excellent. So that's her first clue, something's up.
So something's up.
So she starts searching the apartment.
So what we're learning is somebody's watching her.
Yeah.
And they're not hearts and flowers.
Yeah. So then she probably goes back to her day job, because that's not big enough to like...
So I'm thinking that whatever the phrase is that she sees on there, it needs to be an absolute clear cast iron catalyst to the past.
I know what you did 10 years ago.
That kind of thing. So it's like a word, a name, a place, whatever, that catapults her and thinks, holy fuck, somebody knows my secret.
Don't forget Jacob or something.
Which then sends her to, say, the incriminating evidence that she's maybe kept all these years in a shoebox in the attic or wherever it might be.
Right.
So that takes us and the audience into that.
Could we use the word never in there? Like never forget, or never forget Josh or whatever. Like just to kind of get back to like, I love your title, but it's like kind of bringing that into the...
Let me wrestle with that for a second. Let me think.
I'm a big fan of this, like the kind of the iconography and the branding of these kind of things. Like you mentioned Joker, Heath Ledger, and it's like, why so serious is just etched into cinema lore. Like that is not a phrase that is known anywhere until that just happened.
Got it. I'm there already.
Okay.
So like she looks up and it's kind of like happy now. And
happy now.
And the second line is Lorcan never forgets.
Okay.
And Lorcan is the man who died as a result of her.
Gotcha. I like it.
Because then it's like, holy fuck. It's such a, I'm going to say it, not an atypical name.
Yeah.
And so it's like when you see it, and it in her context, she sees it in her place, in her, and it's obviously being delivered in a sort of, aha, I know something you don't. It can only be referring to one thing. Yeah. It's not like there's another Lorcan that it's referring to.
Yeah, it's great. So we've really connected her past with her present. We've established that there's somebody watching, somebody who knows. And then, like, what happens then? So, like, does she go to the police? Do we have that scene where people are like scoping out her place, looking for like fingerprints, and then she goes back to her day job? Or do they find something that's actually a bit incriminating on her, where she's like again, completely riffing, because all we're doing is riffing, but like,
I mean,
I'm thinking there could be a different way where it's like, how normally you would do it would be, you know, they haven't found anything, go back to the day job, but she calls the police to check her place and they find something against her, is quite like a surprising element to the story.
I can kill two birds with one stone here.
Okay.
So, let's suggest that after she's won her case, got her slap on the back, she feels guilty as fuck. She's going to drown it in alcohol and sex.
Okay.
She's grabbed some young piece of meat.
Right.
And dragging it back to her place. He's getting ready in the bedroom. She goes into the bathroom. She looks. She sees this. She screams. It brings the other character and go, what the fuck?
Mm.
Then she's like, it's nothing, it's nothing, it's nothing. So she's denying.
Right.
Which obviously is like, it is clearly something, but I'm trying to like deny it.
Yeah.
The other character goes and says, clearly somebody's been in your house. Have you checked to see if anything's been stolen? And like, I don't know and I don't care and I'm not going to check. And it's like, well, hold on a second. Somebody's clearly been in here. Somebody's messing with you and you don't want to call the cops.
Yeah.
Why don't you want to call the cops? Don't ask, I want you to leave now. I want you to go. And so like, it's a very confused little young man is bundled out the door. His evening's changed in a very radical way. And then she's sitting there and she's agonizing about whether to call the police. And then she picks up the phone. And then the end of scene, you hear her say, I need to see you. And then we cut to the top brass of the police. It's like, and she shows the phone, she shows the picture from her bedroom mirror and goes, this happened. And then, of course, police chief goes, well, that sounds really bad. But it's not really my problem, is it?
Yeah.
And guess
that's
what?
a YP, not an MP.
Why did you think we would help you? Because we presumed that help the police welfare, and so it's interesting if the police goes,
yeah.
Nope, I'm not helping you. Help you dig your own grave, but we're not going to help you.
Yeah.
So maybe there's an agenda there where like, oh, we'd like to see you fail.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they embarrassed her.
Yeah. They basically left her with everything, and they have the leverage over her.
Yep.
Based on, like, it wasn't her plan. They did it. They kind of constructed it going, if you ever do anything about this, we know how the evidence will land. She comes back on someone knows. And as an audience, we're learning this in real time. We're finding out, like, she's going, somebody knows. And they're saying,
she goes to the
it's bad for you.
She goes to the person who thinks has the resources and the means to do this. And I think in terms of a demonstration of power, it would be interesting for the DA, the commissioner, whoever we're talking about, to say, sure, but why would we bother? You're so insignificant to us.
Yeah.
So we don't actually have a motive here.
Okay.
So it's like, you're not even on our radar.
So that's great, because then we basically take away...
isolating her.
Yeah, we take away all security institutions or the general kind of constructs of how somebody would handle a situation like this. So we're isolating her. And now she, I guess, goes back to her apartment, or would she stay in that apartment, or would she go somewhere else?
I think...
So we want to get now the next bridge is to get her to the
Well,
moment where she learns of the 7 people
she
scenario.
She goes to stay with her sister because she thinks that's a place of refuge.
Right. That makes sense.
Indeed.
Because you can't just go back to that apartment. Like
Not at all. Not at all. So
that doesn't make any
She
sense.
goes back to her sister for refuge. And
Does her sister know?
And it's there, A, that she is alerted to what is going to happen, and B, her sister's first on the list.
Oh, snap. Does her sister know about her past? Or does she learn that?
What do you think would be more interesting?
I think not, because
Yeah.
the audience can get a lot of exposition out through the sister if the sister doesn't know.
Right.
Like, Jesus Christ, sir. You have that scene where she's like, this is unbelievable. Why didn't you tell me? She's like, I couldn't tell anybody. And then she says, I didn't want you to be at risk, which is delicious considering she's the first one on the list.
Absolutely. But this the sick puppy that I am, and we're expecting it to be her. It's her kids.
It's what?
It's her kids.
Whose kids?
The sister's
The
kids.
sister's kids.
They're the ones that die.
They the ones that die.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then you've got, you brought this hell upon me.
Yeah.
What kind of sister are you?
I like it. Yep. I can go dark. I got kids. Fuck you. All right, sweet.
And even at this stage, the audience should be like, is this supernatural? Is this...
Yeah.
So again, it's the other thing I particularly enjoyed about the Omen movies.
I love Omen.
In certainly the early Omen movies, where the manner of death was very tactile, very plausible, very rooted in the world.
Yeah.
But with the privileged knowledge that the audience has, that they know who the unseen hand is moving behind the scenery.
Yeah.
That changes. So again, it was so externally, when the housekeeper jumps from the top of the house and says, Damien, I'm doing this for you.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's not necessarily coercion by the devil. But the audience knows different.
Yeah.
The audience already start to sniff that something's up.
I told you at one of our previous meetups that I recently showed that film to my brother for the first time, and it blew his mind.
I bet he jumped.
Like that scene, he just slow neck turned to me going like, what the hell is this? And I was like, welcome, my friend.
Back to horror films when they would scar a generation.
Yeah, for sure. I love it. Yeah, so then are we going to meet this figure in this next, because we need to basically establish the concept or like her mission here. Is it something that this person confronts her with, or is he like always, or they or she, or are they always in the shadows? Is it like brought to her in this other way, or is it one of those things where somebody just shows up in her bedroom like Ebenezer Scrooge
I like
and add some ghosts?
I mean, I'm keen to avoid having the monster in the first reel.
Okay.
Because that never really works. Because as soon as you see the person, the thing, the audience can start to deconstruct it.
Yeah.
And that's going to fall one of two ways, in the sense of, oh, you're scary, oh, you're not that scary. Whereas if you can't see them, then you don't know. So, and also particularly for somebody whose life is being manipulated, you want to see them being manipulated for the majority, I would say for the 2/3 of the film, where it's unseen force.
So then, great point. Totally get it. I mean, how does she get this material conveyed to her? Is it in writing? Is it through verbal, like through other people talking to her? Is it through visuals? Like, how does this information get to her? And we will want to have to keep it as visual as possible, so you can't give somebody a letter and like have the audience just read through it.
I have no basis for reality or connection to what we've described so far, but I just have this image of her coming out of a house and someone has graffitied her car with the face of Lorcan in blood.
Okay.
And then that begs the question, and it's so, and I see it kind of like sort of like being communicated by messages. And I'm just trying to think of a really good device.
Yeah, because that works for,
I mean, it works for
repeating
scary.
the concept
Yeah.
that there's a past she had, but, and again, I mean, of course, we're making this all up. We need to convey to her the rules of engagement.
Absolutely.
With like, you have 7 days, and each day one person's going to die, and you don't know who it is.
Yeah.
But it's going to start with your sister, and then the twist is it's her kids. And we need to convey that without revealing the creature or the entity or the presence behind it. And if you want to keep it, if you want to go like immediate supernatural, you can have it take over a person. But if you wanted to keep it, is she losing her mind? Then it might have to be. We go scream with a phone call.
I've got it.
You know.
I've got it.
Okay, you got it.
Kids are dead. Kids are dead.
Okay.
She and the sister are dragged into the police station. She's in the interview room. There's a evidence box.
Okay.
And when they walk in, they go, oh, there's this box from a previous interview. We'll just put it to one side. And then they have their interview, and she doesn't perform particularly well.
Yeah.
She's going to pieces. And they leave, and they say, all right, well, have a think about what your story is. They leave. And she's looking around, and she gets curious. She opens the box. Inside the box are the rules to the game.
Oh, interesting.
So our person got into a privileged, secure space and left something to be found.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was like they're taped to the table when she steps in. So it's somebody's got there, or maybe that, you know, it's got to be something, or maybe they're using the lipstick motif again, and they've written it on that might be quite cute, because a lot of these interview rooms have these kind of double glass things where the police look through.
Yeah.
Well, if they're looking through, they may not see what's written on the other side of the glass inside the interview room.
That's interesting.
And so she sees this, she learns the rules of the game, and then then she hears they're about to come into the room. So she furiously tries to remove the evidence before they come in.
Right.
Whether that's like taking a piece of paper, hiding under the table, or whatever.
Yeah.
Because part of the rules are you cannot talk to the police. But where is she? She's in the middle of a police station, and she has to talk to the police, but not about the real question, the real issue.
I have another version of this that kind of struck my mind. Like, it's a bit more 90s with like the police doing an interrogation, and they press the button to record, and they press the button to stop, and then they leave for a break, and then there's something about it, and she presses play, and then audibly she is told this.
Got it.
This, because then, I mean, what we're doing again with what I love the visual of the mirror, but that's a lot of information we're trying to convey.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
So she's brought in, sat down, and they need to change the tape.
Yeah.
And they say, so they change the tape, and they say, all right, we're going to put a blank tape in there, and we're just going to make sure that it's empty. And they hit play.
Yeah.
And it starts playing the list of demands.
Okay.
And then they kind of go, oh, fuck, no, that's not for you. That's for a different, that's a different investigation.
Right.
Put the blank tape in. And then she knows she's not allowed to talk. So weirdly, in that conversation that we hear, we actually hear the voice of our nemesis.
Yeah.
But he's talking to the interrogator and basically stipulating, if you want to talk to me, these are the rules of engagement. I'm not going to talk to you unless you
Right.
And if you don't, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and this.
Yeah.
And then it's like, You're clearly a psycho. So it's like, so then that kind of raises the stakes because she knows he was in that room, which means the police must know that he was in that room.
Yeah.
I'm giving it a he just for the purposes of conversation.
Yes.
But she can't ask the police about them. So she has to get out of that room, somehow get to the front desk, get a look at the entry register without being detected, and see if she can find out who it was.
Right.
Let's say she talks herself out of the room.
Yes.
Let's say she tries to go and make a nuisance of herself at the front desk. And she asks and says, hey, who was previously booked before me? And they're like, we can't tell you that. And she's like, no, I'm really, she makes a big song and dance, but she's really desperate. And they sort of go, no, we can't. And then they look at the book and that page has been torn out.
Okay.
So this person's already covering their tracks, has already anticipated her next move.
That's good. And like, she wouldn't be detained because like they questioned her, but there's no evidence that she did it to her sister's children, because we got to get her out.
Well, I think
and walking around for the rest of the story.
I think the muddying aspect is she was the one that was meant to be picking them up from school.
Okay.
But the father did, let's say, or somebody else stepped in.
Right.
And so,
But yeah, so
the idea was to kill the kids in front of her so that she would feel maximum pain.
Yes, but like what I'm saying is like she's got to get out. So they questioned her and they said like, that we'll be in touch, stay close, because we've got to get her on the journey and
this
free. We can't keep her in prison for this. Story.
This is where you kind of have to make your decision about whether or not you're going to give her a mirror or not. Are you going to have the kind of Basil exposition person come on and go, hey, this happened to me?
That's true. I actually would prefer if we don't.
I agree.
That's more like sequel territory.
I'm just kind of saying it so that it's like out there and gone and dismissed.
Yeah. So basically she's let out, like they questioned her. Mm-hmm. They've got the information. She saw that she's got the rules.
And she knows the next person.
And she knows the next person. How does she know that?
Because it was in the
tape
interview.
And who is the next person? So it was her sister last time. Is it another family member or maybe somebody from like best friend?
So this is where we kind of need to take a stop.
Okay.
Take a step back, look at the story, never mind the presentation of the story.
Yeah, of course.
And think, right, so let's start thinking about characters in the sense of interesting characters with interesting backstories, ideally compromising, complicating backstories. And then it's like, right, what would be most interesting in terms of the order in which these people are going to die?
Right.
And then once you've kind of got that clearly established, then you need to think about, right, but that's her perception. What's the running order for the killer?
I'll probably get there by figuring out what her arc is. Like, what's the big lesson that she's going to learn through this sequence of losing people?
It's a loss of identity, and basically has to acknowledge her past in order to regain her identity.
Okay.
That would be the lesson I would probably be aiming for.
Yeah, so she's going to start fresh, basically, and embrace a new version of herself through this, because she's going to lose a lot of people in this story. So there's got to be some kind of self-reflective moment where she's going to fight for probably one of the most important people in her life in the climax. Mm-hmm. But in order to like save them, she needs to let them go, or there's something here.
So there's a part of me that sees, rather than her going to somebody comes to her.
Okay.
And I see that being her brother.
Okay.
And I see him being a priest.
A priest?
And he brings something interesting in the sense that he will approach her and say, look, I know you don't believe in what I believe,
Yeah.
but whatever it is that you're holding on to, you need to let go.
Right.
And maybe you need to tell me. But she can't tell him because he's next on the list.
Because he's next on the list. Oh, I love it. And he's like, just confess, like in the sense of the
Unburden
the
yourself.
church, like come to confession. But she's
Absolutely.
literally got something to confess.
And she has.
And she can't because she's kind of checkmated into the rules here where she can't actually tell him. I think that's delicious. Yeah, I like it. So then, yeah, I mean, for the sake of it, with these kind of stories, we don't need to go beat for beat throughout the whole, like, we don't need to cover all 7 of them.
Okay.
But we can just kind of explore kind of where the dynamics would go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very curious as to what happens when she leaves that police station and like who is like the next one. So she found out in the station.
I reckon her brother comes and picks her up.
Oh, interesting.
Because it's because the family will communicate and said, "Hey, your niece and nephew are dead."
Yeah.
So Uncle Robert or whatever.
And her sister now is probably not talking to her.
Nope.
So the brother will be the one where
his sister has contacted brother and said, "I want her out of my house."
Yeah. So then she's now super frustrated, confused, vulnerable, and that empathetic brother.
She's like a Jonah, and she's being passed around the family.
Yeah.
But each time she's passed around the family, it's bad news.
Right.
For the people who take her in.
So the brother picks her up. Where do they go? Because if he's going to be the last, then he can't be now. So we get a lot of, we get a nice moment with them, a little backstory with them. They probably haven't been talking for a long time, but it wasn't anything he did or she did. Maybe her guilt kept him away from him.
I think we need to start getting her to give up the goods on the backstory, on the thing that she did that she's tried to suffocate. So I would imagine that she would try and talk around it without talking about it.
Right.
In the sense that she wants to unburden herself, but she can't. She's scared to.
Right.
And so it becomes a sort of almost, what's the word I'm looking for? Rhetorical conversation in the sense of I can see that something's upsetting you.
Yeah, and at a certain point, he just literally stops speaking and she kind of gets into a monologue.
Yeah.
Until she turns around and realizes, because he's good at that, because that's actually part of his occupation.
Because she can say, it's my fault.
Yeah.
The kids are my fault. And you go, how are the kids my fault? Your fault. I can't tell you.
Yeah. That makes sense. And so they have this moment.
Which is starting to paint her in a slightly, how can I put this, less than sane picture.
Yeah. Because also she just got out of the police station saying it, like defending herself about this. So like if she was saying it was legitimately, literally her fault, she'd still be there. So Correct. He's like, why do you think this?
Why are you telling me this now?
Yeah.
How did the police react? And they're purely investigating it on the strength of you were the last people. You were one of the last people to see the kids alive. So you were meant to be picking them up, yet you weren't.
So she knows who's next. He's gonna bring her back somewhere safe, probably that he knows.
Church. Gotta be a church.
And she's gonna have to get out to save the next person.
Mm-hmm.
So she has to run away from him, which makes what she said to him about it being her fault, and then her running away, kind of could add something there to that element. But who's the next person to kind of propel our story further?
Because, again, I'm sort of thinking about... So, simple question. Does the brother die? Yes, no. If they don't die, why don't they die?
Who, the brother?
Yeah, do we break the pattern early on, or do we break the pattern a little bit further down the road? Probably further down the road. But I'm thinking...
Well, you said he's the last one, right?
No, I didn't.
Oh, he's not?
No, no, no.
Oh, okay.
This first wasn't across my mind. But what I'm thinking about is how does she fail to save them? Because that becomes kind of almost more interesting. In a sense, she wants to save the people, but she can't.
Yeah.
So how does she alert people without alerting them?
It's interesting. Because then she's going to end up being blamed for it anyway at the end. So which then ties in the question of if she didn't do anything, would they still be alive? Because her involvement, which we're getting very Final Destination.
For sure.
Well, her involvement seems to kind of taint the scenario.
She predicates it.
Till eventually that they actually die. And then the more it happens, the more she's like, well, what if I do nothing? And then she does nothing, and then...
And people still die.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that I have this image where she's like, I want to confess. And he's like, you can confess. And she said, no, I can't confess to you. And then he takes her into the confessional and says, you can confess here. It's just me and God.
Yeah.
And nobody else is listening. And so she confesses partially about the past, maybe she takes the rabbit out of the bag fully and says, people are going to die. I know who they're going to die. And, I know, all the people who are important to me are going to die. And the brother's listening to this, and he's kind of going, okay, this is clearly some very weird kind of form of anxiety manifesting itself in you, where you feel that you're losing touch with the world.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, people are going to die, and you're fucking next.
Right.
And then it'll be like, oh, okay, hold on.
Yes. I know exactly where we're going. I love it. Keep playing. Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, that wasn't what I was expecting. And then we have this interesting thing where...
Forgive me, Father.
Forgive me, Father, for they do not know what they do. But then it's interesting because we have the first victim where they're cognizant of it coming.
Yeah.
So you've kind of got this kind of, like, for want of a better expression, mouse in a maze.
Mm.
And it doesn't really matter which way they run or which way they go. A bit of Final Destination is coming for them.
Yeah.
And so then we can work out.
But I love it because immediately in that scenario, it validates the rules.
Yeah.
Like, she sees firsthand, like, shit, I was told not to tell them. I told him, he died. Like, the stakes are high because it's her brother. He's a priest. He picked her up at the police station.
Yeah.
So the police saw that she's the last person with him.
Making her even more complicit with each body
at
that
the
piles
church,
up.
he dies. What a monster. The sister's like, you're a monster, like it's basically ratcheting her into a box and just cranking it each time. And that would basically be the dynamic for each of the deaths, where it just keeps boxing her in layer by layer.
Keep giving her less room to maneuver.
Yeah. That's great.
And it kind of hooks the audience in because it's something that I miss at the moment. I'm going to say something with modern horror films. And I would say with suspense and thrillers as well, where you'd watch people get into, like, really tight situations or tight problems.
Yeah.
And the audience would go, right, I don't know how you're going to get out of that.
Yes.
And that was one of the things, I've kind of used Bond again just for a simple example, but before it was seen very much like bronze over technology, in the sense that, they're going to think their way out of this rather than rely upon the gadget. And now it's the other way around, where it's like, I've got this button on my suit or my cape is invisible, and it's like they're already coming pre-dressed for the problem before it happens.
Yeah. It's also like one thing that, as writers, the smartphone is the killer of drama. Because it's communication.
I have stayed well away from that whole phone, and she receives the thing by text. It's like,
No, but in general, like, most scenarios that we traditionally would put somebody into would be solved because they have a communication device on them.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, like that's why so often in stories and films, someone's like, oh, there's no reception in this area. And I always feel for the writer going, this couldn't go forward if their phone worked. I get it. But I think that's a byproduct of what you said, is like they come prepared with the equipment to deal with it. I think that's just the modern technology that we live with. We're actually prepared in general to deal with all scenarios.
Well, they kind of have this sort of electronic equivalent of the Swiss Army penknife, which is like a blade for every opportunity. And the other, so there's the thing that they're kind of prepared for every eventuality.
Yeah.
But the other thing, it dates the piece instantly because technology evolves at such a rate. It doesn't matter which piece of technology you jump on the back of for the purpose of your film. You have put a stake in your story. And it's like, oh, I remember when they had those kind of phones. That must be from the 220s, or that must be from the 210s, or that must be 1990s, or whatever it might have been. And it's just like, oh, screw. That's terrible. Now, the replay value of my film just suddenly went down because I tethered it to a decade.
That is true. But yeah, so then back to Never Never.
Yep.
We don't actually have to go through all of the 7, or let's say the 5 more deaths.
We know roughly what we want to do with the character.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, we can kind of explore a couple of, maybe 2 scenarios, and then kind of find the third final.
So I think
the 7th, but in our discussion, the third scenario of the conclusion. But just, I love the idea of like exploring some of these kind of her journey as she runs away from the church. Where does she go? How does she then know? Like I'd be really curious if she ran away, hid somewhere, and where she was sitting. There's literally no reason why the next person's name should be there, because how the hell would they have known that she would like hide in the alleyway or whatever,
But this is the beginning. This is again feeding into this idea that, so like you as the audience are going, how is this going to play out again? How are they going to get out of it?
Yeah.
So this is exactly the kind of thing, the questions that you need, I would argue, as a writer, to set yourself, make it uncomfortable for yourself. Because then if you can actually answer it and make it interesting and make it entertaining, it's another hook in the side of the audience. And you're pulling them along and pulling them along and pulling them along. So you kind of have to be brave enough to break it to make it.
Yeah.
In the sense that, oh, okay, that didn't work. That's too preposterous. Or that's too convenient. But if you don't try these things out, you don't find out.
Hear you. I could see a valid next person would be somebody like her mentor. Like we went 2 family elements. Let's go to somebody who was like instrumental in her career, because her career matters to her. Mm-hmm. So somebody
who believed in her.
Yeah, and the mentor's next. Maybe she hasn't seen them in a couple of years, but that's also maybe due to her guilt or whatever. But I just kind of picture that other element of a relationship, because we do want to explore the 5 people you surround yourself with, the kind of the establishment of what makes a person into who they are today. And it isn't just who you are with present. It would also be just these figures that you've known in life that had a profound effect. And even if you haven't seen them in a while, they're super important to you. But it gives a different flavor when she shows up to them and they go, well, what are you doing here?
I really like the idea of a mentor. Skipping right towards the end, I think the mentor should be the last one.
Okay.
And I think the mentor should have disavowed themselves from her, in the sense that the mentor brought this person up, but a bit like Star Wars, she turned herself to the dark side.
Okay.
And now this Jedi Knight wants nothing to do with her.
Oh, interesting.
But she has to go back to this person and ask for help, even though they know they don't want to give it and they don't want to speak to them. And it's got nothing to do with what's happened so far. It's just on a philosophical level, there is a schism between them.
I like it. So then...
But because then it becomes like the final embodiment of conscience.
Right.
In the sense of, right, Saoirse, what have you done? What are you running from? What are you hiding from? He says, I can't tell you. And I said, well, if you can't help yourself, how can anybody help you?
Yeah. So I'm thinking for the next person then, what if it was a recent ex-boyfriend? Somebody who they just broke up. Because then there's the tension of her coming back and he's like, what are you doing here? Like, you broke up with me. And she's like, I know I did. And she's trying to like, I need to come in. And he's like, you moved on. He's seeing somebody else they might be in. So you've got the relationship, emotional dynamic, but she's trying to convey something absolutely out of this world to him.
Let's make it more uncomfortable.
Okay.
Let's make her go back to the one night stand that didn't happen and that she threw him out of her place.
Okay.
And now she's walking on broken glass to come back to this person and said, hey, I know that I treated you really badly and, you know, and I've been a blah, blah, blah. Can you let me in? I need a bed for the night. And this was like, well, you just tossed me out like I was rubbish.
And this is going to be the next person on the list?
Well, she doesn't think this is the next person on the list.
Okay. Because she doesn't know who the next person is.
She doesn't know who this person is. So this person has no value. She's been going to people of value.
I understand. I get you now.
And now she's trying to break the pattern.
Yes.
By going to somebody of no value.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. And it's a divergence for the audience too. Because if we don't basically, so she escapes the church, there's no second, there's no
she can't go
message
back.
That she's got of who's next is, but she has lost two people she really cares about. So you'd avoid everybody that you care about.
I mean, she could make, just for purpose of keeping the audience fully informed, she could make the mistake of going back to her apartment. She gets there, there's the answer machine with 60 messages on it, and all of them are of the police saying, hey, we'd like to really interview you. There's been 2 suspicious deaths in the last 12 hours.
Yeah.
2 family members, we want to talk to you. Please come and turn yourself in. And she's like, I'm on the run now. I need to hide. I need to be somewhere where I can't be found, which has no connection to me.
Yeah.
I'll go to the young clerk who I was going to drown my sorrows in.
And so just to go back into like, because we want to do horror, and what we've talked about so far is very thrillery, because we haven't really gotten into how people die. We've just jumped straight over how the kids died. We've just just highlighted that the brother dies, and now we're about to say that the one night stand dies. Like, what do those deaths look like? And I know we've got Final Destination hovering over us. Like, is it circumstantial? Like the Rube Goldman machine, where like the domino drops and the bowling ball rolls? Or is there something else that kills these people? How violent and graphic is it? And how much tension is actually involved? Because I'm actually missing the horror element.
I have something that I think will scare people.
Okay.
But it's very tangential. They all burst into flames.
They all burst into flames.
Which
That's brilliant.
Which also alludes to the idea it's serial. The MO is consistent, which means there is a pattern.
Yeah.
Which also makes the police super. It's like, hey, 2 members of your family spontaneously burst into flames.
It's like Spinal Tap with the drummers. Yeah. It was spontaneous combustion. There was a globule on the seat.
But I'm just, because then it also sort of tips a hat to supernatural.
Yeah.
And think, oh, is this divine retribution?
I love it. And it's unique. It's iconography. And it's undeniable to her that there's something happening, because it's not how can it be a person who's like bursting people into flames? Yeah. And then maybe there's things like when she goes to the like she's in the church, there's candles everywhere, right? So there is this element that could happen, but when she goes to the one night stand, she's like blowing out candles that he's set. And she's like, get away from the oven, you know, like
step away from the fire.
Yeah.
But have you not figured how Lorcan died?
By fire.
Correct.
Yeah.
So each death is a chiming reminder of what happened to Lorcan and how he took his own life.
Of how what?
How Lorcan died and how he took his own life.
How he took his own life.
Well, that's the supposition.
Okay.
But maybe at the end of the film, we'll discover that actually he didn't take his own life.
Interesting.
She's running with the idea that it was suicide.
I like it too. I really like it. So that really cleans a lot of it up. There's so much you could play with if you were a director on this piece about how you can work out those scenarios. You could play with a complete burst, an explosion of flames, or the kind of the line, the spark, the Mission Impossible wick that leads to it as well.
I'm seeing all these small, tiny prayer candles in the church.
Yeah.
And they'll just get blown one way.
And one's what?
So like, I see the brother sort of like standing in front of the altar looking at God saying, "What have you brought upon me? Gust of wind." And then the candles get blown in his direction. He spontaneously combusts there on the album. I am a sick boy. What can I say?
But when you say that, it could also be him telling her to light a candle. She lights one.
Light a candle,
and she doesn't really feel like she thinks she's not religious. She doesn't really believe it. In fact, she thinks she's insulting the religion if she does it. So maybe she lights a candle and she goes, "Oh, screw it." And she blows it out. And as she blows her flame out, he bursts into flames elsewhere.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which is like the moment where I was like, that's insane. Like that, she has to think that was her.
But that's I always like this kind of, where there's this kind of connective tissue.
Yeah.
But it's not directly linear.
Yes.
It's more thematic, and and it's kind of like, how did that work? But no, it's the coincidence is so apparent.
Yeah.
It has to be connected.
Yes. But there's that plausible deniability. Yep. That's brilliant. So look, I think we got a lot established, but I think now is probably like we could go through 4 different scenarios, but I think we've kind of established a lot of it.
Skip forward to the mentor, because I think the mentor...
Let's get to the mentor.
Yeah. So I think the mentor is the guy who has to crack her, in the sense that where she reveals what she's guilty about.
Okay.
And reveals her complicitness in the death of Lorcan.
Okay.
And it's been a bit of a MacGuffin, so we kind of need to nail this one now. And I'm open to suggestions.
Okay, so are we trying to figure out what happened to Lorcan and that'll influence the ending? Is that what you're looking for?
I'm thinking about, so if she's a tax collector,
yes,
and her job is to collect money, and it essentially ruined Lorcan to the point where he was no longer able to meet his debts, say to a cartel or something equally horrible, nasty, who don't tolerate mispayments.
I think, and there's a similar story I was writing before. He got the money together.
Yep.
And then at the last minute, it was like stolen from him.
Well, it's a bit Deus Ex Machina. I mean, it just comes out of nowhere. Why was the money stolen?
Well, it's a circumstance that the gambler, the person who like has the last day, like this is your last day.
It's a gambler, okay.
So it's like, I got all the money. I did get it. Mm-hmm. It was taken from me. Mm-hmm. But maybe they are the ones who took it anyway. Like,
oh, I see. So it's like, double insurance, yeah.
Yeah, they're like, no, we got your money. Like, it wasn't like, so that's this person who didn't realize that they actually just kept him on the hanger. Like, they're the ones who organized the theft of the money that he owed them, so that he would scrounge more money in order to owe them back. So why, if he pays the debt, then he's off the hook. But if somebody takes the money, then he's still on the hook. But maybe that moment was too much for him. Maybe she was also forced to be involved with the theft of the money he owed, and then he ended up killing himself, which means that she actually has an absolute fingerprint on the reason why he died. because she needs to be involved somehow. She can't be super innocent.
No.
But like, what would, like, you were highlighting that he might have killed himself. Okay, if that's the case, then it's being stuck in a scenario where he doesn't believe there's an exit. And if he owes money, going through the journey of getting the money together would be this 1 in a million circumstance where he's like, I actually did it. And then the moment he's delivering it, it's taken. And that's too much for him. And it turns out the revelation is it was her job to organize the people who take the money. But maybe she didn't know all of it at the time. It depends on how innocent you want to keep her as a character. But I would push into, she does need to have culpability. Otherwise the guilt is kind of circumstantial. Like, it wasn't her fault. I think there's more weight if she was regretful because she knew some elements of it and chose to do it anyway.
I like the idea of her being at a point of power and position where she thinks that the consequences wouldn't touch her.
Right.
And then she discovers that they do. I'm thinking that I had this thought, and it's a bit fluffy, but I see it almost being like a teaching moment.
Okay.
Where she's been told not to confide in other people. But that's actually her sin, in the sense that if she did confide in other people, then Lorcan would be alive.
Okay, that makes sense.
So
it also plays on the confession earlier as well.
Indeed. So if I said to you, the deep dark secret that we both know you share, if you don't tell it to somebody, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
Would you tell somebody? Because maybe that's the thing. Maybe I have to hold a gun metaphorically to your head to get you to be honest with yourself.
Right.
And maybe this is what the person's doing.
And they're trying to have her confront it.
And confront herself.
Yeah. Interesting.
And maybe it's the mentor.
So the mentor is the last person on the list, but it's actually the person who did it.
So I'm saying maybe it's the mentor. Maybe the mentor is actually teaching her a lesson.
Right.
Even though he's disavowed himself from her, and she thinks he wants nothing to do with it.
It makes sense. And
he can only guide her when she thinks that he's not involved, because there is this chasm, this schism between them.
The only way, I've used this line in the script, the only way the ignorant learn is when they don't realize it.
Yeah.
It's like, you have to show them.
So he's illustrating to her.
Yeah. And also, in lots of thriller, horror parlance, the concept of mystery is usually you have to introduce somebody and then hope the audience forget them, so that the reveal is familiar but shocking.
Yeah.
And normally, I actually have ruined many thrillers to my wife and to friends because I call it early. I can normally suss it out immediately. So what I've started doing is I actually type it on my phone and I leave it in my notes on my phone, and I just leave the phone going, okay, I figured it out. Because normally, I'm a writer, so like usually they show you somebody, but as the story goes on, you're like, the person really has no real purpose in the story, but they were dotted in enough for me to remember them. So their purpose hasn't been revealed yet. They're the killer. You know? Well, that's where I think the mentor as the killer actually has a valid concept, because it's all driving to the seventh person. Like, it's all leading to this one person. If we establish them early on, then the audience are familiar with them, so that it's not like the film Seven, which is so brilliant because they have the killer walk in the door and going, detectives.
It's me.
Because usually you need to understand who the person is to have the eureka moment. And we need that eureka moment. So yeah, I'm cool with the mentor figure being the person who is the last on the list, but turns out they're the one who made the list.
Yep.
Great. Now, is that person also, are we going into supernatural territory, or are we turning around and saying this has been legitimately real life, but coincidental? I think that I'm kind of feeling supernatural.
I'm going supernatural.
Yeah.
And how about this? I don't know, it's just a line that just sort of came into my head, which to my way of thinking, bridges the gap.
Okay.
I'm not your reckoning, I'm your curse.
Oh, okay.
So essentially, rather than cursing her, he's decided to make his life and the action, the way he behaves towards her, her curse.
Okay.
My curse to you is to teach you.
Yeah.
It's a curse for me, it's a curse for you. I don't know. It's just...
You should think so highly of yourself that I dedicate myself to you.
Absolutely.
You know, yeah.
So
she must have really hurt him.
This is your reward.
Yeah.
This is not a punishment. This is, again, a teaching moment.
Okay.
But again, maybe we're sort of maybe the scope. Again, I think once you get in the trenches of doing a detailed outline, it kind of reveals itself in the sense of it would be cooler to do it for real as opposed to psychological, supernatural.
Yeah.
Because it's like, again, I go back to The Omen and thinking, the thing that really worked there was the duality.
Yeah.
In the sense you kind of went, oh, I see how it could work in real life, but I also appreciate that from my privileged point of view, with my privileged information on the part of the audience, I know that there is more than a whiff of supernatural about this.
Well, I think you can get that because even just in the reveal, you don't need thunder and lightning and magic powers.
No. I don't want to go down that road.
But I'm also curious as to like, okay, so now she finds out that he did it. We haven't really established the why because, like she had a past sin. Is it that she disbanded from him because of her act? Like, why did he dedicate his life to her, basically? Like he's
kind of like,
or maybe he didn't. Maybe that's what he does. That's just he's forever, never. Just this is now the next person that he has now taken under his wing, tested. She failed, and now he's punishing her. So it's not about her. She's just the chosen one of the now.
Franchise.
Yeah. Because I find it like, wow, she's really important, If it's really about her and her decision, that's putting a lot on us and this mentor character. Whereas if he's a presence who just is everlasting, who sees potential and then watches it squander itself, and he goes, okay, I'll make you pay.
I think the lesson maybe that he's trying to impart to her, she's a money collector, right?
Yeah.
So maybe the lesson he's trying to impart to her is the fact that her attitude is, it's just business, it's never personal.
Right.
And his attitude is, oh no, it's absolutely always personal.
It's always personal. Yeah.
And that's the big lesson he's trying to teach her. And saying, just because you do this job doesn't mean you get to not feel.
Yeah.
And I'm now illustrating to you how to feel. I am putting you back in touch with your emotions by removing all the things that are dear to you.
Yeah.
As a lesson to shock you back into
taking
feeling.
the debt that you owed and I'm making it personal.
Yes. So essentially he's removing all the stuff that she does feel personal about.
Yeah. Now, does she succeed? Does she triumph over the mentor? And how is Lorcan kind of pulled back into this finale? Because if it's all set on this character that burned himself and she feels guilt over it, and there's his mentor figure, I feel like all of these parties should kind of converge at the end.
Absolutely.
But then we can decide whether she actually does pay the ultimate price, or does she defeat the mentor, then pay the price, or does she absolve herself?
I'm keen for the idea that if she survives, it's through some moment of self-realization.
Right.
That has to be the key to a change in behavior that ultimately leads to her victory.
Yeah.
And how? See, so there's the obvious little sort of list of options that run down my head. Is like, is Lorcan really dead? Was it a setup?
That's interesting.
And then it's like maybe Lorcan was collecting from her.
Oh, interesting.
So you were talking about acolytes and students, and maybe Lorcan's is rather than being sort of like a lesser connection in this world, is actually the top boy.
So he's like the Ra's al Ghul in disguise.
So he's basically using him to educate Saoirse.
Who's using who?
So the mentor is using Lorcan to educate Saoirse.
Right. So he pretended that Lorcan burned.
Yep.
But then what has he been resolving her of?
Well, basically, he surmises that by presenting Lorcan's death,
Yeah.
this should get through her hard, impenetrable, sort of uber professional, I don't care about anybody, anything.
What I enjoy about this is maybe it was you chose, I gave you a choice back then, and you chose to cover it up.
Yep.
That was the wrong choice.
There we go.
You should have chosen the other option, and because of that,
and which would have made you personal vulnerable, and you had to take it personally.
And you probably, in a revision, you could probably go right back and kind of seed this throughout.
Yep.
But it all comes back, and again, storytelling at its purest is the protagonist's choice. You made a choice, and you're being punished for that choice. It isn't the fact that he died. It's the fact that you chose to cover it up.
Yep.
You chose wrong, and now you pay for it.
Absolutely.
And you're going through this experience because of that.
Absolutely. It's 9 cycles of hell.
Yeah.
Or 7 in this case.
But then how do we get to the conclusion of that? Because that's a very powerful concept. But I feel sorry for her, and I kind of feel like she should make it out, at least in that circumstance. Feels a bit like too direct that she, in the end, she's punished, because like that's kind of where we were going with it. I mean, so does she absolve herself, or does she expose them for their culpability?
I'm just thinking that. I mean, one option is that on each step of the journey, she's been collecting evidence that implicates them. So it's not one of those in plain sight things where she's picking up details, traits, aspects that all lead back to their door.
Okay.
So that's sort of like one scenario. But the thing is, just on a very, very superficial level.
Yeah.
If you got like this horror thriller and people bursting into flames.
Yes.
Need a big bang.
We do need a big bang.
Yeah. We deserve a big bang.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm trying to get my
We need a burning building.
Yeah.
And her escaping the building. And does she have to save somebody? Does she have to then basically make the reverse decision that she's being punished for? Does she have to save the person who's punishing her? Like, I don't know. We're like, I think you're right. We need that big concussive conclusion.
Yeah.
There's got to be fire involved. I think maybe she should be put into an isolated area where she is now going to suffer. She escapes, or something happens where like a fire starts erupting because she finds her way out. Like, it's done. She's going to burn.
I've got this image.
Okay.
they've kind of constructed this Wicker Woman-like statue
Okay.
or box or whatever it might be,
Yeah.
which is built up of all of the evidence that implicates her guilt.
I love it. Yeah.
And they say,
Brilliant.
if you want the evidence to go away, you have to take this lit match into this box. It's everything been soaked in kerosene, and close the box.
Yeah. Light it from inside.
You just have to trust me that the oxygen in the box extinguishes the flame before the flame lights the fire. You need to trust me.
Right.
You need to make it personal. And if you want all of this to go away, which you do make, I'll give you, here it is. But there is a price to all going away.
Okay.
And you have to be prepared to risk yourself and give of yourself.
Yeah.
Do you want to do that? Yes, no.
Okay. She's got to go in the box.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Then something has to happen, though.
Then she has to do a smart thing,
Yeah.
which subverts the rules of the game.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so she survives, but then she's complicit because the evidence has survived with her.
So then do we have her defeat the mentor? Do we see him burn? Do we see him die? I feel like we have to.
Yeah, we do.
But give a little bit of, like, maybe she looks back
Got it.
and that person who was like under the rubble isn't there anymore.
Got
Just the second that she has to go.
Got
Continue.
it. She's like, I'll go into it as long as you come with me.
Nice. Yeah.
It's like Luke going into the forest in Dagobah and Yoda saying, "Don't go in there. The only fear you'll find is the fear you take with you."
Yeah.
Also, words to that effect. And so it's that kind of moment was like, if you really trust me, you'll come with me. If you trust me to make the right decision, you'll come with me. Because then neither of us are going to burn.
Okay. But then how does that convey? Because now they're both in a burning box.
Yep.
So then how does she get out? How does she defeat him in that scenario? I like the idea, but now they're just it's very static.
Again, this goes back to what I was saying, was like, you kind of have to think of an impossible problem to get to a delicious solution. If you start with an easy problem, then
I understand. I'm just trying to find
the solution.
Our first dirty draft scenario.
Oh, for sure.
That gets us to a satisfactory conclusion.
Indeed.
Because I think we're right there. We're like
within touching distance.
It's right there. All the evidence is burning. She's inside. He can be there. Lorcan's somewhere. We haven't figured that out.
Well, no, maybe all three of them go in.
Right. So I think the answer is probably with Lorcan. I think there's something there because that's the wild card scenario to these two.
I don't know how this works or whatever. It's just a beat that kind of, I don't know, there's something, maybe there's something there.
Yeah.
The person who wins is the first person to leave.
The person who what?
The person who wins, the person who survives is the first person to leave.
To leave?
Yeah. Or maybe they're the last person to leave the box.
Yeah. The first person would be immediate. Like you'd be like,
yeah.
Oh, this is too much. And you walk away.
Yeah, but I think it needs to be kind of like almost a trial by ordeal. It's like, who can stay in the fire longest?
Okay.
I don't know. I'm now thinking. I'm thinking like a director. I'm just thinking visuals now.
Yeah.
I'm not worrying about how does this join with the rest of the story. It's like, no, I'm just thinking visuals. It's like, what would be like? Oh my god.
I can see that.
Big kind of like Grand Guignol kind of moment.
I think if you've got somebody like her who, as a tax collector, we probably have established early on, she's quite sly, cunning, persuasive. She can kind of find her way in.
Well, tax collector's thinking about money. So how do I buy my way out of this?
So I could see that she has these two figures that conspired against her. How can she get between them and kind of get them at each other? Mm-hmm. And you have these three in this literal pressure tank environment, and she's like, I'm gonna divide these two, you know? I'm gonna, like, they've been trying to trap me in my moral logic, and she's like, maybe she can turn it back on them because everything they've done to her, she can spin onto them as they've done the same thing, and which is what brought them all into the box to begin with, right? For some reason, I think in our structure,
I had almost
Lorcan can basically become a tool for her to get out.
I almost saw sort of like a truth game.
Okay.
In the middle of this effigy.
Okay.
It's not on fire yet, and they're playing a kind of truth game. And then for every wrong answer, there's this like boiling vat of oil.
Okay.
That tips closer to the person who slowly accrues more and more and more.
Right.
And around the outside of them is a lit ring of fire.
All right.
And if they get coated with oil, they're all going up.
Interesting.
And the winner gets them dashed to the door.
Yeah.
And the other two, coated in complicity, burn and die, along with the evidence.
Yeah.
Don't know. Again, I'm just
but
wearing
I think
my director's hat again.
Yeah, no, but I think we need that kind of visual motif, and because I love the idea that the evidence of her wrongdoings are going to be going up in flames with her. You know, like there's something actually really nice and poetic about that. But how do we kind of pay that?
How do we get there? How do we get there?
Yeah, but I think we're like really nearly there. I think we're just at that. What's the last punctuation with these three figures? Because I imagine we want her emerging from a burning building, basically.
Because I'm always looking at. Always go right back to the beginning. Like, where did we start? What were the flaws? What was the problem? What was the dilemma?
Yeah.
How can that become a mirror to that?
Right.
How can this circumstance become a mirror to that thing?
Yeah.
And maybe there is a clue. Maybe there is a behavioral pattern or something that the character lost that they then reacquire. So Luke's going down the exhaust tunnel of the Death Star, and then he hears Obi-Wan say, "Stop trying to aim and just believe."
Yeah.
You know, Luke, trust your feelings, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then he takes the shot. So he has that moment where he's taken back to the person he was rather than the person he's become.
So I think ever since that moment that she's had that guilt, she has been making all the decisions in her life based on that. So this needs to be her letting it go.
Yep.
And going, I need to make a decision that isn't based on guilt and culpability and covering up.
And my benefit.
And what?
And my benefit.
Yeah. Yeah.
She needs to be selfless.
Yeah.
So she needs to sacrifice herself.
I think we're getting there.
So she needs to sacrifice herself so that the other two may live.
Yeah.
But it's the nature of but it's the fact that they don't believe that she would sacrifice herself. She's still so fundamentally selfish. She wouldn't do that.
Yeah. And they were expecting that.
Indeed, but they get surprised.
And she actually grew. She sacrifices herself in a way that actually frees her. Yeah.
Correct.
Like she's like, wow, like, yeah, I don't know what that is. And
the small details, but that's the big picture.
Yeah. And we've done this in other episodes too. Like we don't need to figure that out, but that's the kind of crux that gets her out of it, because that's more emotionally and character arc oriented that we're looking for.
This is the thing that it's going to hit me tomorrow morning or the day after.
Yeah.
Where I'll be like, this little puzzle's running around in my subconscious going, she's in this burning pyramid of whatever, and how do they get out? And I don't have the answer today. Yeah. And then like 2 days from now, I'll go, got it.
That's it.
But that's just the nature of the beast.
That's it. And then that's why these conversations are supposed to be fun, and we don't need that element to pressurize us. I think we've got the core of it, that in this environment with this spaghetti Western standoff, that the one thing they don't expect, she doesn't expect, but then she realizes is, I am guilty.
Yeah, because it
is my fault.
Because this is the thing.
Because she's been fighting this the entire time, and absolution comes from the truth, and she's going to basically give them what I guess they wanted, but what they wanted was to punish her. What they needed was her to actually admit it. She's been avoiding that until now. She admits it. It crumbles their plan.
Yep.
And she's the one who gets away. Or doesn't even mean to, but when it all, like the entire building collapses, she's the one who emerges.
I mean, it's always, again, it's this thing like 2-3 days later. But also, if I sit back and I listen to this,
yeah,
and obviously we just kind of been going on the cool shit train of wouldn't it be cool if, wouldn't it be cool if, wouldn't it be cool if, which is good because you're starting from a place of wouldn't it be entertaining?
Yeah, it's the surface of the ideas,
the
exciting part.
And then when you go back through and you listen or you reread and you kind of go, oh, okay, that's cute. But actually the thing that's really cute and the thing that's really pervasive through all these ideas is this red line.
Yes.
And that suddenly becomes your North Star and goes, right, now I'm going to reevaluate all this cute stuff.
Yes.
In the context of that North Star.
Makes sense. A lot of times when you have an idea that's worth pursuing, it actually is more of a plot element. And if you look at how things are marketed, I usually think that the plot is what brings people there and the characters is what keeps them there. And that's so much like writing and the ideas. Like you go, oh, this would be a fun idea. And it's like a core hook of a plot, but it's only worth pursuing to the point where you'll dedicate years writing it because you find the character within and that justifies the effort you put into it.
This is it. You'll start to you go back, you look at the story, you look at your outlines and you kind of go, that which I thought was the building is actually scaffolding.
Yes.
And I can do away with the scaffolding now.
Yes.
Because the scaffolding got me to the place where I could see the building.
Yes.
I could see the tree for the forest. And now I know exactly, right, this is the path I'm on.
And just like her, she's come out of the building and now it's scaffolding because it's burned to a cinder. She's out the door. She's survived, surprisingly, and she's now reborn. Basically, she actually has confronted her past and absolved herself, and now she's afresh. And I don't think she's going to be a debt collector anymore. I think she's got to go and talk to her sister.
I think. So now I've just thought about it. Just because you brought that back and you put it back on the table. Whatever structure, I've got it. Whatever structure it is, I see it more of a kind of like a pyramid / igloo. Okay. It's made out of money. Okay. So it's like millions and millions and millions of black money going out. So it's like one thing to save yourself, two, can you save the money or can you let go of the money?
That makes sense because of her occupation.
She's a tax collector. Yeah. So she walks into a pyramid of taxes. Yeah. And these are all representative of all the kind of like money that she's stolen and taken out of people's lives. Yes. And so it's symbolic of like, is this victory going to ultimately claim me? Yeah. Here's the visual manifestation of my victory. But it's going to go up. It's damn me at the same time. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so she gets out. It's all rubble. It's all burned down. She's survived. She's now cleansed. And now she has to start fresh. And then she turns to the camera and says, I'm never doing that again. Yeah. Or never doing it again. Or the police show up and they're like, what happened? And she's like, But this is always at the kind of the end of the journey where you've been like struggling with the story. And then it's like you get to the end and you kind of have this moment of like relaxation like we're having now. And then you kind of go, all right, I'm going to start making fun of this now. I'm going to start tearing it apart. Yeah. Because now you're kind of relaxed and kind of think, all right, I kind of got my 3 beats. And like, all right, now. And weirdly, quite often for me, this is the moment where suddenly you get the breakthroughs. Yes. Because you let go of the pressure. That's right. And that's even in acting. When you direct somebody, sometimes the first few takes are shaky, anxious, they're not really sure. Then you get one take that's like, that's great.
we actually have it.
In bag, indeed.
Now let's have some fun.
Exactly.
And that's when the gold comes.
And that's when the magic comes.
Yeah.
Indeed.
It's like when they stops worrying if they can and they just enjoy it is actually when they really succeed.
Yeah, because there's obviously this pressure to deliver a performance that is going to contribute and compound to the story that the film is trying to take. And then once you've met that responsibility, it's like, okay, right, now we have some fun.
Yeah, you did it. All right, so that's it. That's the film. Never Never.
There we are.
What do you think?
I think there's something there. There's a lot of rough edges.
Oh, of course.
Freely admit lots of rough edges. But there has to be something which makes you kind of go, I may not get it, I may not necessarily understand it, the character might need polishing, but I'm on the train, I'm interested in the journey, I want to go on this trip, I want to see how they fix the problem.
Yeah.
And I think there's...
I think the ingredients are there.
Yeah, indeed.
Well, thank you so much for taking this journey with me.
Oh, Chris, absolute pleasure.
All right. That's enough. That's a wrap. Good night.
Good night.